a choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a rock.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expounding reality.
A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Welcome to Expanding Reality. I am your host, Brandon Thomas. On this episode, we have no relation, but Jo Thomas. She is a soul sister for sure. She is incredible, guys. So her book, her free book, by the way, Mastering the Old Earth, will be linked in the show description, as well as her YouTube channel, Conversation with Heaven on Earth. Very, very cool stuff, guys. Her conversation with me was incredible. We talk about the end of the world. And I'm not kidding. That's what the conversation's about. And she's got an end date for you. And I'll just go ahead and say it up top. Don't buy Christmas presents. How about that? So listen to the episode, guys. It's a wonderful conversation. We really go deep on this one, and very spiritual, very metaphysical, deep questions about religion versus this ideology, spirituality, all of these things, guys. It's a great conversation. Like I said, she is absolutely fantastic. So check out show notes for more of her. Check out show notes for more of us. So without any further ado, guys, let's just get right to it. This is Jo Thomas. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcoming to the show, we have Jo Thomas. This one is pretty special. This was a quick turnaround thing followed by synchronicities. We met for the first time and spoke 2 days ago, and it's crazy. I never do this, and then all of a sudden, some crazy stuff happened. Schedule cleared out, and it just worked out, which again is crazy. That's the first time that's ever happened, that we had a cancellation. So anyway, long story short-ish, we have Jo Thomas. She is incredible. Her and I spent a little time on the phone the other night. She is over in New Zealand. She has some incredible stuff to say, and we are very, very grateful and excited to have her on. So, Jo, how are you?
I'm doing really well, considering everything that's going on for humanity at this time. So it is extraordinary times, super exciting times, and definitely expanding our realities.
Yes, it is. And it is very heavy, and we're all feeling it. I think at some different degrees, some levels, but no matter what, everyone could tell you, if they're being honest, that something is definitely different. The sky looks different. Colors are different. I mean, physiological changes are occurring, not only the vibe thing that we all talk about, but this may be a product of that. And you and I are going to get into all this stuff tonight because you are amazing. Like I said, I was very impressed with our conversation. I checked you out, of course, and your YouTube channel will be linked down in the show notes, and any way else you want folks to find you. We are going to talk about your amazing book. So before we get into all of that stuff, which I'm very excited to do, tell us just a little bit about yourself, please.
Just a girl. So officially, if we wanted to put labels on it, I do quantum sessions. So I love Dolores Cannon and found her through some other projects I was doing. And so I started doing her work, and it's just been, the last 2 years have just got extremely epic and incredible at the same time. So much information has been provided, and so I just find that people find me for various reasons, and then they have profound things to say. So when we have sessions together, they're actually connecting into that. They're so relaxed that they actually start channeling their subconscious and higher selves. And so then I get to ask them through their bodies, through their channeling, information and questions about what's going on for them and why. So really
pretty cool. Okay, well, then let's get into some of this stuff. So you had some pretty shocking information, but let's step into that. Out of all the information that your clients have told you about, what about that information specifically resonates with you the most?
Well, all of it resonates with me, which is really surprising because it is pretty profound information. It's not my clients talking to me. It's not the egos talking to me. The information that I hear through my clients is them channeling their higher selves and their subconsciouses. So there's a huge difference between the ego and human versus the subconscious. A lot of my clients have got big problems understanding purposes of like failed relationships or their illnesses or whatever. And they've been struggling with this for years and years. And it really, like they cry, and it's really hard not to cry with them because they're really struggling with their 3D lives and they just are so frustrated and they just want the answers. And then within the short span of the session, they're laying there and they're channeling their higher self, who's giving them profound reasons why and all this explanations. And it's like, whoa, of course they had to experience that. And oh my gosh, yes, so purposeful, so significant. It was just beyond giving the answers. It's so, I know people say, oh, it's so life-changing, but it is. It seriously is life-changing when you actually understand the significance and purpose of these events in their lives that have made them really struggle with certain things. And when you understand the reasons, then you can put it to bed. You can sort of accept it and understand why we wanted these lessons and experiences and the real significance for it. So, our mind, our ego wants to make us in blame mode or victim mode or a whole lot of other 3D emotions. But when you hear it from the bigger perspective of what we were supposed to learn from it and how we're supposed to process it, it is profound. It is profound. And so I had bought all of Dolores Cannon's books, but I hadn't really read them. I suddenly got really swamped with clients. And when I had my first few sessions as a client myself, I was getting information that I didn't even understand. And I just was like, what do you mean about resets? What do you mean about health resets and education resets and political resets? I was really shocked because it was coming out of my body. And, I've got preschool kids. I've been a creator. I've done commercial photography and I've got a pottery studio, and I like to have my life real simple. And I don't really think about the big stuff. And so when my subconscious was saying, oh, it's the grand awakening and everyone's going to wake up soon and all these resets, I didn't even know what the hell I was talking about. I was really confused. It was so much that I was like, oh, I'll deal with that another time because I just really don't have the time to process that information right now. It just seems too crazy. I was never hearing anyone else say it, and it just was too much. And so this was February last year. And, I listen to it now. I'm like, oh, that's what they were saying. Now I get it. But anyway, so I was doing all these sessions with clients, and they always want to find out like, I feel like I should be doing something. Like, can you tell me like what would my subconscious like me to do? I feel like I need to change location, or I need to change career. Or I just feel like I've got to do something. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And so they're kind of really worried that whatever career that they were in wasn't the right path for them. So, they had all these questions about their futures, which is really valid. The subconscious will tell you anything that you're supposed to hear. It knows what you can handle, and it definitely knows what you can't. And so, we were definitely listening to a lot of stuff that they believed that the clients could hear, which sometimes even shocked me because I was like, I don't think I was even ready to hear that. So Dolores Cannon says, that the subconscious will always know what's best for the client. If the practitioner has got a lot of their own crap holding on to, the subconscious won't share that. The practitioner can limit the session as well as the client. And so I never wanted to impact my clients in a negative way. So I really processed and tried to do lots of my own inner work because I wanted to be of service. And I didn't want to have these beautiful people coming in and wanting this help, and for me to be the butt of their, getting the truth out there. And I had to ask some really big questions, which kind of scared me because I didn't know what I wanted to hear. I was scared of the answers, but I still had to do my role. And when more and more people were coming in asking these questions of, what is 5D? I was like, oh, I think you mean 5G. And they were like, no, there is this 5D. I remember these big first sessions really clearly because even I was confused. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know. Let's ask your subconscious. They know everything. And yeah, it was a lot to hear at the beginning of what moving to 5D actually looks like and what it is. And, we're so attached to our 3D lives, so attached that when you start hearing this information, you want to deny it. You want to just fob it off as, oh, that's just nonsense bullshit. And the more I started doing this work, the more I started being pushed into starting to read Dolores's books. And I had read as much as I kind of could. I find that when I start reading her books, I kind of go into like a daydreamy, I can't focus on the content of it. And I kind of just get carried away, and I just get these, what I now know is like downloads and stuff, but they're really heavily coded with information. And there's a lot of people that are trying to discredit her and her information because they don't want the truth out there. It's not Dolores' single information. It is all of her clients together sharing pieces of the puzzle. So there's so much to be said, but
there is so much to be said. So let's unpack a couple of those things before we move on. You're badass, by the way. This is a lot of fun. So whenever you say clients, what do you facilitate for them?
So they come and they tell me what's been going on in their lives, and then they ask me all these questions that they want clarifications on, like why, what's the significance, why do I have this, what's happened there. And so I just write it all down, and then they go, I do an induction, which puts them into a very deep state of relaxation. So it's almost like we're always in this state regularly, just before we go to sleep and just before we wake up. It's the in-between state. So that is a certain brain wave. I'd love to remember what it is.
Is it theta?
Yes, yeah. And so that's when sort of they're so relaxed that their ego can't jump in and like protect everything with doubt and worry and fear and all that sort of stuff, which the ego is fantastic at doing and keeps us alive sometimes. So anyway, we have to get into that relaxed state to be able to be open for it, and then our energy vibration raises up high and our teams kind of raise and connect down. And so you can physically feel when they come in, because it's like the super electrical spa treatment, fizzy, something. It is really pronounced. People who do lots of meditations and do other sort of modernities, they know that this is something else, because they can physically feel it. And we do body scans in the session, and they like realign everything and heal everything and adjust everything, upgrade everything, remove heavy metals from systems, balance gut bacteria. Like they know your bodies more than we do. And so when they are in that state of relaxation, we take it gently. And so for around the first sort of hour, they get shown other lifetimes where is really significant to this lifetime now. So if they had exit points that were quite traumatic, they will be gently reminded of that. They don't have to feel it, or they just observe it. And so then, they do that sort of stuff, really significant information, which they all sort of think, I'm making this up because it's just popped into my head and I don't know why. It must be a movie I saw 20 years ago or that book. They're trying to analyze, why are they getting this information? And it's all fine. So we just explore as much details as possible that we can. And then around about an hour, I ask the subconscious to come in. And at that point, my client is fully zinging and buzzing and super, super relaxed and deep in. And so they're not trying to protect this information from being shared. So they allow and flow the process out. And this is when the higher dimensional beings are like, hey, girlfriend, we can help. What are your questions? And so then I just, I respect the subconscious, because they know everything that's ever happened to my clients this lifetime and any other lifetime. That's their job. They're the main guides. So they know everything. And so, of course, you're going to respect that and, honor that information, because to help my client, they're going to give us all the answers. Like, why did you show them all these other lifetimes? And they will say it's significant for X, Y, and Z, and these are the answers, and you just got correlation between why they have certain things, and it's profoundly amazing. Like, I just feel it's addictive doing this work, because you just realize how powerful it is and how much answers are profound. And the client, they have the experience and they go back and they listen to the sessions and they know it's not them making it up, because if they know the information, they wouldn't have ever needed to ask. They would have just known it. Often people realize that they kind of knew this information, but they were doubting it and they didn't trust their intuition. So we find out ways to get them to trust their intuition, because we are really intuitive at this stage, with the vibrations of humanity really advancing up. So I'm slightly passionate about it.
A little bit, and it's awesome. So it's basically like you connect with your client comes in, they get relaxed, you put them under some sort of spiritual sodium pentothal, the truth serum kind of thing, and you get them into a theta brainwave, which is really cool. And so they relax, you relax, and then there's a connection made between you two, or one of you channels your subconscious. Like, do you channel theirs?
The clients channel their subconscious.
So they channel their own, you facilitate the environment in which that comes to light.
I just ask questions. Yeah, I just ask the clients questions to themselves while they're in that deep state of relaxation. But because we are multidimensional beings, and so our guides are a next level higher of dimensions, and so we're literally just tapping into the next higher level of dimensions. And so often they're actually living beings, doing their own work. And so we're asking them, because they are of service, to be guides to protect and watch over all of their, all the people that are in the 3D that are living these lifetimes now.
Let me ask you a question, because I've never asked anybody this about dimensions and contact from higher beings and things like that. Why is it necessary or allowed? Let's say, for instance, if we are infinite beings having a spiritual experience, and we're here to experience this 3D reality. The goal of that is kind of to be mindful and be focused on the now, like survival, enjoying rainbows, thinking waterfalls are dope, being nice and kind to the planet and stuff like that. Like, those are the kind of things we should be focused on here. And it seems like a lot of people, and especially with all the stuff going on, they want to kind of, project out something bigger than themselves as a distraction of how challenging things can be here. But your role here is to experience how challenging things can be here, along with all of the rest of it. It's kind of like, I don't understand why. I mean, I don't know. And like I said just lately, it's just a question. I don't understand why, like, we have contact from other beings if their influence influences our reality in a way that distracts us from living in the now.
So remembering why we're here. Living in the now is all cute and all, and is important, but if we can't remember why we are here, we're kind of almost off path and purpose. We are to awaken humanity. Humanity needs to be awoken for a very important reason, to be able to evolve. And so while we think it is all sweet to be just going in our now moments and just kind of embracing our lives, we need to wake up. We need to realize our responsibilities of why we're here, to help and be of service. And most light workers think that they are just special because they're light workers. Are you actually doing your light working work and your duty?
And I'm with you. I like it as a concept. I'm not naysaying any of it. I'm just asking the question. That's all.
It was a good question. It was a good question.
Oh, thank you very much. I was very curious about it. And another thing that kind of resonates with me on this is it's very similar to how I view religion. Now, I'm a big fan of spirituality, all of its practices. It's all love and light. There's no bad place to go. Like, it resonates with me more than anything, which is why I kind of plant my flag in that direction. Definitely, I know where I stand with the others, and it's a hard no, right? You could figure out a lot of what you are by figuring out what you're not, and I don't resonate with any of that shit. But the parts of it that are similar in my mind, or what I'm finding similar about this is the whole idea of interpretation. And this is what's going to happen. You don't see this as your observation, but someone else is telling you that this is what's going to happen. You should also probably do these sets of things, which could be equated to rituals. And then if you don't do these sets of things, you won't get as far in life, or you won't get as favored by the gods. There's a lot of correlation between the two ideals, that it has to be told to you, which is my main contention against anything religious that has to do with the damning of your eternal soul, is that it's not innate in you. There's certain subconscious actions that we all perform, your heart beating, your hair growing, things like that. You don't have to think about and not be told that this needs to be done to continue life. It's just the way that it is. So when it comes to matters of your eternal soul, all of these things, I look at them as more mysteries to figure out, and like really amazing accents on this already incredible reality. And maybe there is truth to that. I mean, I'd say, again, you kind of find your compass by what resonates with you. But like I said, it just kind of has that same, you don't necessarily find out for yourself. Maybe you kind of feel stuff and then need it interpreted, which is, again, why I go a little bit more that route, because it was sparked in you first, or the individual first, whoever that may be. But it just seems to be that there are a little bit of parallels between the two.
Everything's a stepping stone for us to find ourselves and find the purpose of why we're here. And so the reason why we're having these high dimensional beings giving us information is because of the significance of what's happening to this planet and to humanity at this time. So, whatever tools people resonate with and believe in, because sometimes a lot of people are peer pressured into believing certain things because an influencer is telling them, and, it looks all legitimate and professional and whatnot. So, everything is a stepping stone and a tool and a guide to be able to help us awaken to ourselves. And so regardless of whatever that looks like, we have to respect it for each individual person. And so we're using our free will in these sessions to ask our guides freely and directly, because they're speaking for themselves, because they are their own individual beings. So they will say, they will have their own opinions. They will talk about the clients. It's very interesting because when you hear the sessions, the clients will refer to them. You can hear them referring to themselves as, Joanne's about, whatever. And
yes.
I would never refer to myself as Joanne, because I would prefer Joe. And it's, you can hear it in the sessions when the subconscious refers to my client as the client. So it comes through them. So yes, I mean, we could do a session where I channel and tell my clients all the information, but is that genuine? Like, who the hell am I? So when the client actually has the information coming out of their mouths and that experience, it's profound. It's profound.
Well, it's a lot like what you provide is something like a plant medicine ceremony or like a psychedelic experience. You're like a great trip sitter. Like, there's great wisdom to be gleaned in those experiences if you have the eyes to see it. And if you go in with that intent, that's very important too, I hear. But what you do is you facilitate an environment, a space that will bring about this wisdom that's already within them. That's wonderful. Again, there's a lot of parallels between this, hypnotherapy, psychedelic experiences. They kind of lock you, or they get you down to this vibrational frequency, which they refer to as a theta brainwave. And that state is in which you are the most receptive to information. You're the most impressionable. And that's why babies have that kicking for the first, 6 years of their life, something like that. It's on full, pretty much theta, so they can just absorb everything that they can, at least the first couple. Anyway, it's just really interesting the way that you put this. And so carry on, please. Tell me more about your work.
I would say when they're impressionable, it's not impressionable to say like what I am saying, it's impressionable to the high dimensional being. So they're opening themselves up to the impressions, to the information and the wisdom that way. And we're always really seeking out to get that higher vibrations, but it's so dense here and we can be so distracted with other things, we can disconnect ourselves from the true divine information.
Great way to put it. And you're absolutely right. So let's talk about your book real quick. Tell me about that.
Okay, so, in sessions, I started being asked to be able to do this book, to be able to compile it for, I was very reluctant when they started asking me about it. I just was like, I don't have time, no thank you. Thank you, but no. But then I really got over myself quite quickly because, I'm actually here to be of service. And I don't actually have, for a minute, I was just a real dick because I didn't want to do it. And then I got over myself quite quickly. And then I started looking at what they really wanted us to be able to compile in a book. And so it took 37 days to write the book. And I don't want to make any money from it, so it's free. So anyone can just download it. And it is really about mastering 3D. And then so we were having a conversation the other day and you were asking, are we here just for a punishment? And my response was, no, it's for lessons and empowerment and to be able to help humanity and this planet at this time. But yes, of course, it can feel like a punishment on those really challenging days. So I fully get and respect your question, and I hope that my answer to you gave you hope that you're not here because you've been a naughty boy in the past, but because you are of service.
Well, thank you. I identify with that. It resonates with me. I don't think so, but I mean, I've probably done some shitty things. I've done shitty things in this life. I mean, you know, it's just...
we have to do shitty things to learn those experiences and to play the role. And so, you know, judging us, this is a big thing about people who say that they're spiritual, but they still judge. Big icons in history who had to play the hard role. You know, oh, I'm sorry, we can't judge anyone, because unless you know the purpose and significance of those life contracts, respect all. And that goes for saying those people who are, you know, really stuck on the crimes against humanity and can't get over what's happened to those children. Yeah, it's absolutely horrific. But those children had life contracts and they knew exactly what they were going to experience and why. And if we can't know and understand and see the bigger perspective from that, we're still stuck in victim mode. For them, they're not asking, they don't want our sympathy. They have done a role to help awaken humanity. We must see that and honor that and respect that, because we're missing the whole point if we are still stuck in that lower density, because will keep us dense forever if we can't see and respect the purpose and significance of all of that. So anyway, the book is there. It's Mastering Old Earth. And so they've asked us to be able to print it all off. So yeah, okay, I tricked you. It does cost money to print it, and that's at your, that's at your expense. Sorry about it. But it's 195 pages, and they've asked us to be able to print it and leave it. Because those who are going to be experiencing life after the big events happening, they will need to find this book to be able to help guide them. And I know that must sound really ridiculous, but all of the sessions of the book are on YouTube, free again. So, you know, this is for people who really want to know the bigger purpose of why everything's going on and what's actually happening. And, you know, after hundreds of clients and they're all saying the same stuff, remembering that different collectives get different information for a very purposeful reason. And so my clients typically seem to be Turian and Palladian supported guides, and we're getting that information. We're also aware of other collectives' information. We understand and respect that information too, because we can see it for what the significance of supporting those collectives that information is for. So, you know, we can see it in all aspects and angles and respect it.
I think the book is awesome. So I think it's a wonderful idea. You can download it as a PDF, guys, and just print it out on your own. It's totally free. And it will be linked down in the show notes. And make sure you go check out our YouTube. Of course, very cool information. So what do you say? Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah. So, while we can respect each other's life contracts, we have to respect that, first of all, our planet that we live on also has a soul, and she has a life contract. So she wanted to naturally evolve here from her third dimensional body into the fifth dimensional body. And if you've ever heard of Dolores Cannon's books about it, and so this was published in 2011. And as we have discovered in sessions, around 2008, 2009 is when Gaia, the soul of the planet, whatever you need to label her as, she actually realized, as well as her collectives, actually realized she cannot expand into a fifth dimension on the density of the third. It was way too toxic, and you just cannot. And it's like she got burnt out energetically. And we've done some interesting things to her bodies. It's too toxic. I mean, for example, I was asking in a session, what about all of the nuclear waste and stuff that's leaking into the Pacific Ocean from Japan? Like, can't you guys do something about it? And they were like, why would we? And I was like, because you like help us and protect us, thank you. And they were like, well, there's no point. We know what's happening to the planet. So it was like, excuse me, what's happening to the planet? And then they sort of would say all this sort of stuff, which was, they've been breadcrumbing me for a long time. But, when you want to be in denial, you don't want to focus on the stuff. And so my clients were asking these really big questions, and I had to just be professional and be brave and ask all this stuff. Sorry, you can hear my children jumping around with joy upstairs. So we would
That's
You know,
okay. We're a pet and
so-
children-friendly show. You're okay. That's all good.
Yeah. It just sounds like they're going to come through the ceiling. And so this book is really valid for the client's information when she was doing it. And so then around, as I said, 2008, 2009, it was starting to look less and less possible that the shift would be happening in 2012. And so move forward, she was getting information about the shift being off planet, but it was never published. And so anyway, she comes in quite a lot in sessions because I do lots of sessions with other practitioners. And so, and also other people who have had other lifetimes with Dolores Cannon. So, she would jump in and be really helpful and give us profound information. And so she's actually featured in the book as well. And so she says that this is the updated version of her 3 Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth, because it is what actually is going on and why. And, while we can be frustrated with Gaia or feel like we're victims of Gaia and her life contracts and all that stuff, the reality is we have to be respectful, because she has given us so much. And so, does it sound like it's the end of our world? As we know it, yes. Good news is she is reincarnating, because we believe in reincarnation, right? And we know that there is these natural cycles. So she gets to have a new planet that is built for her in the 5th dimension. And those who can raise their vibrations enough to be able to travel and shift with her, who have life contracts with her, will go with. And so, there's lots of options where people can go, and there is, all life contracted. It's all designed to support those people for all the necessary experiences and life lessons that they need. So it's big. It is very big.
It is very big. So whenever Dolores Cannon talks about this split, usually it's referred to as a split to where like one Earth will be over here, and still in the 3D, and then the other one will be in the 50, and it basically physically splits, but it's also an energetic thing. Because everything's energy. But but what you're saying with this information is that the old Earth is just done. Like it fries out. There is nothing left of the Earth in the 3D, so we have to move to the 5D.
So that's eventually so when you see let's talk about like death as we know it. So once the soul leaves, then the body starts decaying quite quickly, and so when her soul does shift and leave, then the body is going to start sort of doing some really interesting things. We're already seeing a lot of interesting things physically happening with earthquakes and volcanoes and floods and a lot of things that you may want to label as global warming or that sort of thing. So first of all, the big information that was kind of coming through was about the shift to New Earth, and it just sounded too good to be true. I kept asking, are you sure this isn't heaven? Because that sounds really good. Have we died? I asked all that sort of stuff. So, when they said write a book about the old Earth, I was like, no, it's too dense. It's too dense. And I kind of judged. I was like, well, obviously, if they're going to the old Earth, they're naughty, whatever. And the reality is they're not naughty. They're not at all. It's not a punch staying on the old Earth. And quite a few people need to stay and experience the old Earth for very significant reasons. Remembering that time is not linear. It's something quite different. And so everything has already sort of happened. We're just experiencing it in the now moment. And so they already know how future things are going to evolve, and they've kind of rewind back and realized that if this needs to be improved and much more lessons need to be experienced, we're not going to have so much craziness in our futures. So those people who are experiencing the old Earth and all those lessons will really profoundly be big 3D stuff. A lot of certain collectives need to be here. Because certain collectives don't have the DNA that is even possible for them to raise their frequency and vibrations up to a 5th dimensional level. And so they know this. They know that some of their DNA just cannot evolve. They will evolve, but it's not this time. And humanity will evolve, but those other souls. We have original souls experiencing their first lives here on Earth. And so they want to master the complete version of this planet and all the history of this planet. And that's why a lot of people have come here, to be able to support them so they can finally evolve and master everything. And so those who are on the old earth have to have profound experiences, which is super significant. I really didn't understand the true significance of them being so dense and staying in the old earth. The lessons, the significances, and the purposes of it are crucial for our future experiences.
So what happens to the people that stay behind on the old earth?
Okay, so, well, they experience what they perceive as to be a lot of exit points, a lot of earth shifting, a lot of different things, a lot of collapsing of everything that they sort of know. And so then they have to actually really suffer from those experiences. Remembering that 3D lives in this planet is all about the range of emotions and experiencing everything and overcoming everything and remembering the purpose of why they're here. So they get to experience all of that and master it. Of course, there are some big important light beings who are here to support them and help them through it. So there's a lot. It feels really doom and gloomy when you're sort of thinking about it. So it is all life contracts. If certain people if certain people don't have life contracts to stay on the old earth, but their vibration isn't high enough, they can go to other 3D simulated planets, or go and have more healing time to be able to then go to the new earth.
Is this something that we're going to be conscious of? Is this something that happens like in the middle of day, broad daylight, very dramatic? Or is it going to be something to where you go to bed one night on the old earth and you wake up in the new one, or you wake up in the old one? And that's kind of how the shift or the split will happen?
So depending on certain people, a lot of my clients are not aware of the traveling to the new earth. And so they will just find themselves on the field with their family. And so they won't understand what's happened. They won't be aware of the traveling of the shift. And so it depends on how what the client is able to be ready for. And so that's what they will experience. Remembering our teams don't want to traumatize us. Life here on earth is already quite traumatizing for many. And so the shift is not supposed to be this crazy traumatizing experience. We're not supposed to be experiencing pain or any of that sort of stuff. You know, we will not consciously be aware of what happens to us as we go.
Okay. So what do you think, though, about people who get to ascend or go up? Like, how does that transition work for people that are very ready? Are there people that know, okay, cool, I'm going to the new earth. I'm doing that. And I know why I'm here. I know I'm going to the new earth and we're good to go. Are there people that say, and also to that, so you're nodding your head for the audio-only audience. And also to that, is there people that know that they're staying on the old earth for some purpose?
Yes, the old earth purpose, some people do know about that. And some people do know, obviously, about the shift to new earth. Some people know they're going home to their home planets, because this is, just part of what they do is these missions and to help other planets in time of need when they need to have love the most and to profoundly upgrade themselves. So, this is not a unique thing that is happening to this planet. It is unique that what's going to be unique that we would be expanding the way that we were going to be, but now we have to be evacuated from this planet and be able to shift that way. And of course, sorry, there's so much, I'm losing my focus. So
it's a lot. You're doing great. It's a lot.
Every time that the client gets told that they are going to the old earth or staying on the new earth, I always ask why, what's the significance of it? And the subconscious will always explain it. And, it's always so huge and big. We just can't sustain life here any longer. And so once the big shifts happen and everyone's taken off the planet after the old earth experience has happened, then the body will be dealt with accordingly, because it's just so toxic. And they can't have this toxicity just sitting here in the universe. There is attempts of many collectives that think that they can come in and be able to live and continue on as they want to on this planet, but it cannot be done. There's too much DNA already on this planet that cannot be taken off this planet, and so there's a lot of information about why and the significance of everything that needs to happen. I know it just sounds really silly to say it's purposeful, it's significant, but yeah, listening to the sessions, you'll really get it. And I know that this is really triggering for a lot of people because, as I said before, we love our 3D lives. We're really attached to our 3D lives. And the sound of this being a huge change forward is quite profound. And not everyone is comfortable with hearing change.
And they're not, but I think a lot of people have been talking about this particular thing a lot lately. So if anyone's familiar with Dolores Cannon's work, that's old hat. I mean, and then with all the people talking about this awakening and all that, the shift is what we're talking about. But Dolores Cannon just kind of put a visual to it, and that's what you're extrapolating on as well, because there's like a visual aid associated with it. And so this shift or whatever, it's the awakening, all of that stuff, it's all synonymous. It's all the same damn thing. But what's interesting about your perspective on it particularly is that split comes at the evaporation of us instead of the death of us. Will you go into that, please?
So from the perspective of people who are still in the 3D, it will look like we have died or disappeared because there are so much natural disasters that suddenly occur and really get quite extreme. If you're aware of Dolores Cannon, you will know of her old Earth maps, which look quite different. And it's in that's in this one here, Nostradamus, when she connected in with that chap who is still very hilarious, and we've connected in with him a few times. The only thing is when you're channeling him, because he uses quite a lot of poppy juice, you also feel like you've had a little bit of poppy juice. It's interesting because I've never taken poppy juice, so it's an assumption that is how one would feel. But yeah, he's very... anyway, so she's already covered the old Earth maps, and I've asked her a few times if the old Earth looks quite different, and from her information and for what we're hearing now, and she's always said it's very similar, and so which is also very uncomfortable to know that, and so. You're asking about bodies. Okay, so why are we all feeling ascension symptoms? Why do we feel like there is something weird going on with our bodies that is not normally the same? And so a lot of us still have our crystalline bodies. They take around about 10 years to kind of evolve. So they're within us, or you may have a Merkaba within your body anyway. And so there is a lot of changing within our physical bodies as we are getting ready and closer to the shift. And so, we are in carbon-based bodies right now that we can see and feel. And when we evolve, thinking about the caterpillar to the butterfly, we leave the shell of the carbon-based body and we merge into embrace our crystalline-based body, which can be held at a fifth dimensional level. And so the difference between three-dimensional level planets and a fifth dimensional level planet is incredibly different. And when you look back and you're reading Dolores Cannon's information about, can't the 3D people see the 5D people and vice versa? You can't. You're invisible. It's like flickering the screen. It becomes such a fast flicker. It becomes invisible because you just cannot see it. It is just like how we talk about ghosts and spirits and we know all around us. We can't see them. It's not because they're not there. It's because, we just physically can't see them with our 3D eyes. These are limited, babe. These are limited. That's why we want to go to our mind's eye. That's where the shit is. That's where the cool stuff is. In your mind's eye, if you can trust it and accept it and not be too afraid to actually go there because it is quite big. So unfortunately, yes, it's going to be very hard for those people who are left on the old earth because they will see that there's a lot of exit points around them. They will feel... they will feel all the emotions of grief. They will also feel all the emotions of being so lucky to be here. And there is a whole lot of emotions that they have to go through, remembering that triggers are a beautiful experience to be able to overcome them, even though we don't like most of the triggers that we have to experience. They have got profound lessons. And they're super important. And so once we can overcome certain emotions, remembering we only hold the emotions, it's only us that make us feel. That's the only real thing we're in control of is our own feelings. So do we choose to be in fear or do we choose to be enlightened and feel happy? Whatever the range of emotions that we can feel, we choose. And so the old earth, they will be heightened. They'll be very dense as well, because a lot of the big light workers who are holding profound light right now have gone. So they will notice, they will have to focus on finding their inner connections. They will be praying for the first time they've ever prayed. And we ask, how is it going to be for them? And the subconsciouses are like, oh, they're going to be praying. They're going to actually stop being distracted. They're actually going to go within themselves for the first fucking time of their lives. They're actually going to be asking for us for help. They're going to be using their free will. And, that is what they've been for. But we ignore them. We think that they're, they're invisible. So how could they possibly help us? But because they go in and ask for help and guidance for the very first time, they rush in with joy. Like, oh, I'll give you this wisdom and all that sort of stuff. So it is purposeful.
Up top, all due respect. I've heard this before. This is mirrored in the Christian ideology of the rapture. This is basically just like people ascending to go to heaven or a better place. They're going to appear to have either died or just transmuted up somewhere, but then other people are left behind, and then they're left here on the old earth to battle their own inner demons. Some, Christianity likes to make, they've got the razzmatazz, so there's a bunch of demons and stuff running around, which would make it a little more entertaining, but that's what this sounds like. And so let me ask you this. Does the ascension process into 5D, is it religiously specific, or what are the guidelines to get through the velvet rope into 5D, into New Earth?
Life contracts, vibrations. We actually hear this, and I know this is going to upset a lot of people, but we actually hear that a lot of people who do follow religions will be staying on the old earth because they haven't connected in with themselves. Their belief systems of how they should live life is by someone else who's got a really weird indoctrination and a really disempowerment. They've never truly been allowed to connect in with the self because they've had to follow other stuff. So it is about learning to stop following influencers, stop that peer pressure, and actually do your inner work and connect in with yourself. So that will raise your vibration rather than being afraid of going to hell or something else and judging others for, what may be not in the belief systems and not taught at Sunday school or whatever. So I have asked, is there a hell? I've asked if there is a heaven. And they sort of say it is your attitude for how you live at the moment. You can have heaven here if you've got a really healthy, positive, seize the day, choose to hold on to emotions that give you joy, versus victim, lack, and all that sort of stuff, which I guess would be quite hellish to live here with that feeling that life's just trying to get you. Where you don't die. So ghost realm is definitely different from ascending. And so we're conscious, we go with our crystalline bodies, we travel to the new earth, or we go home, or we do whatever. And so it's exiting, it's leaving the chapter of our 3D lives. Yes, it is. We never forget those lives. We never forget the connections and all that sort of stuff. But when we're moving into the new earth, it's a profound evolution step, because normally when you leave 3D, you've got to go to source for healing, or somewhere else, and then be reincarnated and start again in a new life with a new contract.
It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. So it sounds like there are some things that we're aware of that we can do to participate in this, but there sounds like some things that we are unaware of on a conscious level that have nothing to do with this, that no matter what we do to participate in this, counter your soul contract at this point is what we're talking about, keeps you rooted in the 3D, which is interesting. I just want to bring something up, just again, for the sake of the question, because what it sounds like is every religion ever, it's just a different one. It's what it sounds like is, and even in your own words, darling, it was that people have got to stop being influenced by others and raise their vibration. Well, I will say that. What do you say about the Christian single mom who identifies with the Judeo-Christian philosophies. She is a community helper. She helps everyone. She does food drives. She raises 3 kids by herself, and doesn't necessarily resonate with the ideas presented, but she has a high vibration, if that's what we're talking about, and believes in a higher power and all, or all these things, and believes in herself and has that feeling, but she was influenced by a religion. Therefore, she's not necessarily going to be influenced by this idea. And so the other part to this would be, if people aren't influenced by the idea, then do they just get swept behind, meaning that it's every other religion, right? Because Christians believe everybody else is dying and they're done and they're the only ones that are going to go. And every religion believes in this. So with this, what separates this idea out from any other perspective of the rapture or an ascension or end of the world scenario?
Okay, so there's no exclusions, it's all inclusions to be able to take everyone. You don't have to hear this information, you don't have to believe this information for it to still occur. And so if she's high vibrational and has that life contract, she's definitely going. She's going to be like kind of confused as she is traveling there and she arrives there, but that is part of, sort of people explaining to her why. And as they are able to see and view what happens to the planet, they accept it.
So it sounds like just the main requirement is just don't be a cunt. I think that's the main thing, right?
It sounds easy, my friend, but so many people choose other options.
Well, think about it. By not being a cunt, your vibration's high, right? And so therefore your vibration's high because you're not a cunt, right? It's very cyclical. Yeah. Apologies for anybody out there that doesn't like that word. I think it's apt in this position. Go ahead.
Love it. Yes. It is true. And, a lot of people are afraid to hear this information because it is scary. But then, so we do know influencers who keep getting information about this from their teams, but they're so scared to say it because it just sounds too crazy. And it sounds, religion-y or whatever. They want to put labels on it. So they block it. They don't think that their followers are ready to hear this, so they avoid it. And their teams are not shy, and their teams keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. But when you've grown with an audience and you've, when you were younger, said, oh no, the shift to a new earth, it's definitely here. I'm already in the new earth. I'm the now moment and it's fifth dimensional. My body is glistening and I love life. That is cool. But often they can't go back and say, well, actually now I've grown and I actually have got new information. So they don't want to kind of grow. And they're holding a lot of people back. Doesn't matter. It's still, a positive information. It's all a stepping stone. People will grow from it and raise their vibrations. It's not fear-based, or is it? Because then we have a lot of sales pitches and fear-based nonsense about things that are coming to get us, and we've got to, fast and do all this other nonsense and blah, 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 blah to get there. That is nonsense. But, some people say if you pay me a lot of money, you can get to New Earth, and it's just bullshit. It's all within you. This is why I don't want to take any money from the book. And this is why I don't put, YouTube mandatory things on this. This is information that everybody should get. Hate it, love it, be whatever with it. I don't care. But your teams will know. And a lot of people who listen to these sessions suddenly realize that the frequency and the coding within the sessions is something unique, because the answers and the information is not ego-based. And that is a big difference. Channeling from some people sounds like them just talking with ego and trying to manipulate people into their own agenda and sell shit.
That is for sure. That is rampant.
Yeah. High dimensional beings don't sell shit. Okay, they desperately want people to hear the information and to be okay with the information and not the higher dimensional beings not forcing you to resonate or do anything. You've got free will, but you must at least be able to be open enough for what if, because so many people are listening to every single influencer out there in the spirituality world and it's still confused what's going on. A lot of people who I have been aware of, because lots of clients come running to me asking I want my subconscious to tell me about so-and-so because, I used to resonate with their work and now I don't, or whatever. And it saves me from having to listen to many people because, I hear it through the subconscious, which I prefer. I prefer all my information from subconsciouses because it's without ego. It's always from the higher perspective. And I like that information. Otherwise, it's just too 3D. Anyway, so a lot of the people who are confident-ish to talk about the shift-ish, off-planet-ish, are not confident about the timelines and confident with how close it is. So, it's in 5 years, or I've heard like 2036, because that's easy. I can say all this stuff easy if it's going to be in 2 decades' time and we've got stuff to do and have fun with and play with. The reality is we don't have that much time. And they keep saying it's soon. And we know that, soon is a very, there's a lot of, it's not much details in soon, but, from their perspective, time is just an illusion and it's man-made. So how much do they really know? But the reality is we all supposed to take our roles here seriously, keep our vibrations high and be part of the solution, keeping our vibes high, whatever you believe. So you have to believe of anything that makes you feel comfortable, fantastic. Doing that, believe that, and be in your best joy. Don't fake it, they will know. And so, whatever you can feel comfortable with, love that. I love that. They love that. You want to be as high vibrational as possible. This is what is really important, and it's always been really important. Keeping low vibration is then taking more energy from the collectives and it's bringing you down. And, there's no good valuable reason to still be in holding those lower range of emotions.
This is what I love about it. All of it so much is because this is why it resonates with me. It's all inclusive. It's come as you are. Yeah, we've all had shit happen to us in our past. We've all got that. But we're bigger than that, and you're welcome here anytime, and you're going to come with us. Doesn't matter what you believe. Let's go. Come on. All you got to do is be happy. Again, don't be a cunt. That's all pretty much the requirement, I like this model. I love it. Even if the world is ending, I'd rather, and I think we talked about this, I'd rather spare a painful death, but I'm not scared of what happens after we die, right? So, talk to us about that. What is the timeline? So what do you think? Because let's just, again, be very, very honest here. A lot of people have claimed the end of the world's going to come on whenever time. It hasn't yet, or it hasn't consciously yet. Maybe that did happen and we all quantum immortality time jumped into something else, and maybe that happens all the time. So they could have been right. We just didn't know they were right. This is, again, why I'm asking. What's the timeline, and are we going to know about it this time, or are we just going to wake up in a new timeline?
Yes, great question. So they did tell us a firm date. All of last year, they told us the firm date and every detail about it, and it was very scary to count down the dates. It was very scary, but very motivational to release all our inner work as fast as possible and really embrace the life that we had. And that date was sabotaged from us. And humanity was definitely not ready to be able to do what it needed to do. Gaia was also comfortable to be able to hold on a little bit longer while humanity sorted its shit out. And so what did this year look like? More lockdowns. Lockdowns, why do we have lockdowns for a metaphysical purpose? Sending us to our rooms to deal with our fucking shit that we're still ignoring, okay? So we're focusing, we're on the naughty spot now. We have to actually deal with our crap, and we can't be distracted by our co-workers or traveling or any of that sort of stuff. We've got homework to do, and it is, they're forcing us to focus on it. So, we have a timeline. We've had opportunities for shifting earlier this year, which is still humanity was not quite ready for. And there's been a lot of hijacking of throwing out more fear just to keep us in low vibrations. Isn't it fantastic? Thank you, influencers who have sold all of humanity fear again. And it's not even just the dark forces who have been doing this. Light workers, hello. to be part of the solution and not the problem. Thank you so much asking for a friend in myself. So I'm not triggered by that at all. I'm just really disappointed that people haven't sorted out their own inner work enough to be truly stepping up to their purpose and mission of why they're here. It's really easy to be a kind humanitarian, not ego-based and thinking about your own pockets or something else. So anyway, moving it aside.
I love this perspective, though, because I've kind of been thinking that, the dark and the light, the evil, the whatever, all of it's the same damn thing. Maybe we were just lazy and maybe Gaia couldn't hold on anymore. And there's a kind of a time-sensitive element to all of this. And maybe the darkness just said, okay, fine, we're rolling out this thing. We're locking you down. We're doing all this crazy satanic stuff to you. If you kind of go down that route of it. But either way, what it did do was force people to go inward. It's so interesting that you said that, because maybe that's the greatest attempt that they could to save as many people as they could by letting them go home, deal with their shit. A lot more people are talking about a lot of other crazy stuff, and that does have a massive thing to do with this whole movement and this awakening. I think you've really nailed it with this. The stay home, stay safe bullshit was actually just so that people stayed home to work on themselves so they could stay safe by going to the new earth.
Yeah, absolutely it was. Yeah, so it was to stop all routine. So everything that has sort of been stopped in our ordinary old, before the lockdown stages, that was really distracting us. So now we've had lots of things change, and it's all purposeful. Our status in society with our, socializing and with our careers and our traveling, suddenly all of that was really downplayed and kind of blocked. And so we actually had to get real. Ugh, yuck. And so we had to sort our shit out that way. And while we did that, while we weren't being influenced energetically, while we were traveling and while we were in our office jobs, our energy fields could be more pure to ourselves. So it really purged us and removed us from that. I mean, everything is super purposeful. So people are having to notice that, maybe incomes are changed. We are such addicted to materialism. That's really kind of embarrassing that it is the truth. But, that is part of us attaching onto 3D. And, there is money systems here that have sort of been quite corrupted and all sorts of bits and pieces, which we all know about on the fifth dimension. On the new earth, because remember my clients kept asking, what about my money? I'm really worried, money. And every single time the subconscious with like super confidence would be like, they don't need money. And I'm like, well, it's expensive living here. Like, tell us why. And they're like, well, they're going to shift soon. They won't need money. And I'm like, what does that mean, subconscious? They're going to die? No, they're not going to die. And I'm like, well, then why won't they need money? And then they're kind of like, there's no money on the fifth dimension. There's no money on the new earth where they're going. And it's kind of, yeah. Anyway, I'm just trying to relive for entertainment's sakes. How I was starting to hear this information of what is going on and what the resets will look like. And, there's so much I can say. I feel like I need to hold you down and verbalize everything that I've experienced, because every little thing that I heard along the way was like, holy shit, what does that mean? What does it mean? And yeah, it's pretty full on. But I love the fact that you seem to know a lot more and you've heard a lot more of other perspectives of it, because seriously, when I was starting to hear this stuff, I thought either maybe I was crazy or all of my clients were crazy, because it was like, I'm not hearing this on the news.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got to question everything. And I'm not opposed to all of it being correct. I'm not opposed to all of the ways and religion and all of these things being what resonates to those people based on where they live, their culture, all of that stuff. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the multiple ascended masters and things like that. Totally open to it. And maybe this is what we're talking about here is the rapture story in the Bible, but it's just different. It was a foretold prophecy that is coming true, but it's not coming true in the way that they understood it back then, but it's pretty damn close. You're going to avoid cataclysm by going to a place. Your particular disposition as a soul or a spirit on this place needed these guidelines to kind of operate within, and that's why you have such a religious structure within your religious ideologies. Maybe maybe that explains that. It's kind of they're kind of, some of them, I'm not going to generalize at all, but some of them can be, a very small percentage, can be pretty shitty to you and be like, well, you're going to hell. And it's like, no, I mean, it's just like a kid trying to explain something, it feels like a little bit more of an immature type of a way to go about enlightenment or to go about the afterlife, because you need to be told and scared into believing to be not a piece of shit. And that's not necessarily the whole end game of it, but it seems like all of this stuff is connected. I mean, everything in the damn UFO phenomena that I think is connected. Why wouldn't this be too? And this is, again, something I've been saying. I'm cool with all of it. Like, I think all of it would be correct. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, believe it whatever the fuck you want, right? Live your life. So what do you think, though, the next step looks like? I mean, I'm talking timeline here. Like, what are you thinking? I mean, we're recording this, what is today, the 11th? 10th? October 10th, 2021 is when we're recording this. So I'll do a quick turnaround on this one because it's important. But so let us know. What do you think?
So, we were told in January this is bonus days. You got bonus days, really help humanity out, really empower each other, empower yourselves, and really push in. Love everyone. Love people who are afraid of the virus. Love people who are afraid of the vaccine. Love everyone. Stop it with your judging and seeing different comparisons. Love everyone as if they're extensions of self. And this has been a huge theme throughout all of the sessions, and all the conversations always have this how to find love basis, so, we know that, we have always been on bonus days. And so, we were always told that our vibrations would be raising and we would see a lot more disasters and stuff happening. And as we've got closer to this shift, we're seeing lots of things happen. So in a recent channeling, they did say to us, why is it that everyone knows the myth or the story about in the caves, in the mining caves, in the darkness, if you see a canary in the cage and the canary dies, what do?
You turn around and leave. There's gas in there.
Yeah, it's time to go. Evacuate that darkness, evacuate that cave, evacuate that workload that you're doing. It is time to go.
Somebody had an awesome video that I posted on Instagram about this, and I forget the gentleman's name, guys. Go check it out on Instagram. It's still there, linked wherever. So go check that out, because this video had this dude explaining that this is different from a zombie apocalypse. And this is the thing, right? There is this huge swing of everyone feeling like nothing that they do in life matters. And it's not that it doesn't matter because it's not important to them or valuable for them, but that it's not going to matter here and very soon. Like that as long as plans they're making months and years from now won't come true because we're not going to be here. There has been a ton of people that I've talked to that have this feeling. And it's not a fluorided pineal gland apathetic kind of giving up on life kind of thing. It's a giving up on things like that to experience the joys in life, the real rawness, what goes, with that natural law and stuff like that, people, connections, experiences, things like that. People are realizing that trading your time for money is a bullshit model and not a way to live your life. So this dude was explaining that this particular apocalypse is at glacial speed. And that, when a zombie runs into your office at work or something like that, you say, it's time to go. Let's get the fuck out of here. There's no more argument or kind of questioning on whether you should stay there and keep working at your job. It's over. You're done. Now you just go and you survive the best you can and deal with what you got. But it feels like this one is so glacial. And the point that this dude made, which was brilliant, and he goes, do we go yet? Or are we going now? Are we going now? And we all just sit there like fucking assholes and just keep going to our dumb jobs and keep doing this stupid shit. And it feels like, come on already, let's do this. But a lot of people do feel that way. So tell us, it's October 10th. What are we talking about here?
Yes. So, we have been told, one of my clients was like, do I buy Christmas presents? And they kind of laughed and they were like, there's no need for Christmas presents. And I was like, well, is it because her family aren't materialistic anymore? And it was like,
adorable.
So, they didn't want just love this Christmas. So, we get told it's very close, very close. We are, of course, we are connected to the collectives. And so we ask the collectives and we ask Gaia's consciousness how she is doing. Because we have been able to connect in with her through channelings and through these sessions And, anyone that says that they're connected to Gaia and she's healthy and in love and light, come and talk to me, because you're full of shit. Because she has been in pain. She has been in deep pain, because this density and this is very hard on her, very hard energetically on her, and she loves everyone and she wants everyone to evolve and to grow. And these people who have not even cared about her or considered about her, going at their very, it's divine timing. When I decide to do my inner work, I'm just going to be a cunt. She's been in an extraordinary amount of pain, and she's been incredibly patient. And so when you connect in with her, you get that density, and you are profoundly shocked what her messages are. And so recently she just asked us all to release her, because she said she's not even asking now for herself, because she shouldn't really have to be asking for herself. She's asking for humanity, because we're even holding humanity back at this point by still holding on to her and expecting that she entertains us with our slow growth and our slow responsibilities of being accountable for our actions and actually being part of the solution, not the problem. And so lots of influencers love their lives, love their attention, and so they don't want any change. Why would they share the truth? The truth about their change and how they may not be special unicorns anymore that get massive followers who love and adore them. Yeah, they're not going to motivate. There's not motivation for change. And if they feel like they want to tell the truth, then they're afraid that they're going to lose the attention and the revenue for what they have been very comfortably doing.
That's what's interesting too, is that a lot of people are still kind of scrounging up money and like getting a lot of money. And it's like, well, why? Why hadn't that alarm bell gone off in everybody's head? And, are they just 2-3D and they're just going to hang out? What I wanted to ask you too, though, is what's interesting about this whole thing is that it is a literal end of the earth. So it's not an end for us. It is. But what I mean is the earth itself is what's going to be ending, but it's its soul transitioning up to a higher dimension. Now, what's interesting is I haven't heard it put this way. I've heard of the earth having a soul. I've heard of the earth bringing on a soul that's called Satan, and that's why we have evil here, because it brought it here to share this place with it, because it could heal. It's interesting. Now, let me ask you this. Is it specific to this earth?
Yes. So, I have asked if there is like components like us, we have soul fragments in our body. So I was wondering, like, is there one soul, or is there multiple, is it a little gang, a little group? And so we haven't got the clarification of how many soul essences are within the planet. We've also asked, like, what does she like to be called? We love labels. What is she called? And she was very comfortable with being called Gaia, because I have heard other people call her other names. As long as you're sending her love and respecting her, I don't think she really matters. It doesn't really care. She's not going to judge you for sort of saying Mother Earth or whatever. But so the soul is leaving, and a lot of it already has kind of pulled away from it. And so when she finally releases everything, that's when we're going to see a lot of stuff. We're already seeing a lot of stuff. I mean, you'd have to be ignorant to not notice there's big changes that are happening. All those people that are still holding on to the belief that 5D is just a mindset, bless you. You must have so much joy and be so high vibrational to believe that continually and not notice anything else that's going on with your body or your, any of the planet. But that's okay, because, we're not judging you. It's very big to hear this information, because when you hear this information, you really are pushed into triggering and releasing all the 3D that you're still holding on to potentially. Yes, she gets to go and she can't wait. She's super excited. This new planet is beautiful. It's super luscious and gorgeous. And then that's where it's really exciting, because the fifth dimension is like, heaven, but it's physical. There is a physical element aspect to it. While our bodies are different and while our life routines are different, it is profound. We are so much more high vibrational because we're in that fifth dimension. So we're even that one step closer, but it's like a gigantic leap of evolution to God source energy. So we are loving, we can communicate with each other, we feel each other, we're connected to the planet, we're connected to, every aspect of it in the most profoundest of ways. We get to start start mastering energy more. We get to start creating more, and all that stuff that people are saying they do now, it's much more profound now. So what people are sensing about their psychic abilities and a lot of other stuff that's happening right now, this is their stepping stones, and they're getting ready for this. And I just wanted to say, so many of my clients have come and they're like, I've lost the lack of life. Like, I'm not depressed. I love my family. I love my career. I thought I'd always do this, but there's something that's like, the taste has gone. My passion and drive. And so what you were saying, I definitely identify with, because everyone feels that way. And then they start wondering, and then we all do this, oh, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? We go into that fear and worry of, oh, I'm not living my love and light. And they can't figure out what they're driving for, what they're dreaming about stuff. They know something big is happening. They just can't reach it or remember it. Or, every single time that clients go to the New Earth and these sessions and feel their energy, they're like, that's it. It's my whole, they get this real profound, when people, because often people don't always go, New Earth is an option, but they go home and the tears that they feel when they go back home and they remember that frequency energy. And then it's like, it's emotional, because you can't fake that stuff. Genuine emotions is so for real serious, and it's contagious, and you can feel the energy. And when my clients have always felt like they're lost and they don't belong here, and they go home in their regression part of the session, they bawl their eyes out, because they suddenly remember where they're supposed to be and why. And it's it's always a choke up, because it's heartbreaking, because we all know what it has felt like to feel sometimes lost, and for them to have that reconnection, it is so profound, so I'm sorry. It's just, these sessions, you're spending quite a many hours with your clients. You get to know them and hear them and learn all about their lives and what they've struggled with and all this sort of stuff. And to find their profound answers that they've spent a whole lifetime seeking is just, those people who are still on the fence and like, oh, this sounds like bullshit. I don't care. I see the profound healing. My clients leave different people. They are so lighter. Everything makes sense now, and it's mind blowing.
I adore you and your passion and your perspective, and you're absolutely wonderful. I just got a couple more fun questions for you, and then we'll call it. Is that okay?
Yeah. Sorry for the emotions.
No. I want you to be you and be authentic, and that was very touching. So it's very sweet, and we know that you really care, and your passion. Again, I compliment you on it, because it's altruistic. So thank you for feeling that you could be that vulnerable with us. So the question I have is kind of a silly one. It's just fun stuff. So whenever the Earth moves on, which I want good things for Gaia, right? I want Gaia to kind of move on into a better planet that's way better, and she gets a fat ass, and she's having a lot of fun and going out. I want that for Gaia, right? I want that. And then with the Earth itself, and the silly question was a secret space program. Okay, so if we've got settlements on other planets in either this solar system or another one or whatever, human beings, is this a human being thing, or it sounds, which is why I was asking if it's specific to the Earth or Gaia, that's the only reason we are transmuting, or is it all humans are doing this along with Gaia because we're from the Earth and it's just kind of a timing thing?
Okay, so great question. I'll see if I can unpack it. So those souls who are original here, this is their first physical lifetimes in a series of physical lifetimes. They're native to the world, right? And so they instantly can have the option to go, because that's their natural evolutional step, because we want to graduate from, the first dimension, second, go. So they're taking this big step. So there's a big chunk of humanity, right? That's what we should really be calling them, as humanity. Then we've got all these next helpers that are trying to support them. So remember who we are, we're multidimensional beings, and often we've had other lifetimes off planet. So, they could look like Palladians and a lot of cool higher dimensional beings. And so when we get to the new earth, there's going to be, humans, and there's also going to be who we truly are. And so there will be different beings. It won't be at the beginning. I think people just need this moment to kind of get over the shock that it's not just a mindset. And sorry, I just lowered my vibration right there. Okay, sorry. No, because I'm laughing, so it gives me joy.
Yeah,
so
you're back. You're good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. And so, there's going to be other things. So when we get to the new earth and we're like, oh my gosh, Nana would have loved this. You've just conjured and called in Nana, and she's going to be seen as an orb, and you're going to see her and realize that, there is no such thing as death, and that there is consciousness everywhere, and it can come in. And on New Earth, we get to see them as orbs, and so a whole lot of clients who want to connect in with their family members who have just passed on, and animals, I want to say. I mean, Dolores Cannon said that she's going to be on the New Earth as an orb as well. Just call her on, she'll be there for you, It is very, very, very exciting. And so, we should be really excited about that. Don't focus on the one day of the shift for you. And, we'll all have, there's many different days of the shift, so it's not going to be one big shop exit point for everyone. There is going to be some stagnation. There's going to be bigger moments of shifts, but ultimately there's going to be like 3 major shifts. And so... Sorry, I lost my...
That's okay. By shifts, do you mean like... so what a shift or ascension has to look like from a 3D perspective is that you die, right? Your physical body dies. So basically you're talking about maybe a cataclysm of some kind, maybe a war, maybe nuclear bombs dropped everywhere. So where people are dying and therefore they're ascending.
We're leaving our carbon-based bodies. Yes. So for some people, they will see our carbon-based bodies. For some people, their bodies will disappear from events. It will not be a war. We've not been able to use we've not been able to use nuclear war heads for a very long time now. High dimensional beings have taken that toy away from humanity because it was doing some naughty things. So whoever is trying to pretend that they've got nuclear war weapons, bless you for being pants on fire. Liar.
I love this. I'm grateful you said this. Owen Benjamin talks about this as well, that nuclear weapons are a myth. They're a psyop. They don't exist. That is so cool. I love this. I'm grateful that you said that. That's wonderful. But it would entail then that there would be a mass, because the way to ascend, again, I'm attempting to understand a little bit better, is not just like that I'll be driving down the road one day and then I zoom up and just I'm done. What it means is I'll be driving down the road one day, a semi jumps the median and takes me out, and so therefore I ascend. So I die and my soul goes to a different, or do we just get yeeted up just from walking around like in a rapture kind of a thing?
A lot of people, it will look like natural disasters have taken them. And so, we're going to see floods, volcanoes, and earthquakes, and, storms, lots of natural things. Because remember, we have to support those old Earth experiences. So they can't really see, those people have just been taken to a better planet. They can't know this, they will doubt it. And this is why even practitioners and a lot of other people who need to be on the old Earth, they cannot tolerate or even be aware of this, because intuitively they would have like fear of missing out and be really pissed off and be into victim mode. So they just poo-poo this information. So for those who are on the old Earth, it will look like massive deaths. And so, are you thinking about something that has been recently in the news a little bit? Maybe like some inoculations, or maybe a virus that could be impacting humanity, that lots of people who are very dense in their belief systems and in very fear would guess and assume that's what happened to them. And so
not many of the people that ascend and want to do the high vibe stuff are taking that option.
Well, some of them have to be, and they've been coerced to do it. So we've asked that quite a bit in sessions, and we've been told if it's your exit point for that, it will be your exit point for it. They are protecting people from it. You are protected. A whole lot of people are afraid that they're not protected and that their teams don't know what the hell's happening to them. Where are your belief systems when you suddenly go into fear, thinking that you're a soldier by yourself, and you have to jump into worry and doubt and being victimized by all this stuff? The high dimensional beings know everything that is happening and why. So a lot of people lose their faith and trust instantly as soon as it has to apply to them.
Right. Okay, one more silly question, and then I'm going to cut you loose for this one, but I would love to invite you back on for sure. So, okay, so let's say that we know that time isn't linear, that all things exist at once. We're just perceiving these individual slices of things as they occur. Do you subscribe to that idea?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore, the old Earth would exist up until the point that its soul dies and ascends to the 5D. So at some point in time, there would be a 3D world here, the Earth that we know now, just maybe before all this bullshit, that exists from the time it was created until the time the ascension or the split happens, and its soul shags ass to something better with the fat ass. So what about the idea of time traveling or interdimensional travel back in time on the new Earth as like a vacation spot, or on the old Earth rather as a vacation spot? Like, entities may do this. Like, do you think that that's why we're getting a lot of UFO activity at this time, is because of the ramp up, like the final season finale of Earth is happening and it's all going down for real? So what do you think?
I love that you've asked me this question because I've asked it many times in sessions. So the reason why we're having a lot of higher dimensional beings support us with their physical ships is because how do you think most of us get to New Earth?
Nice.
When we cannot shift into it, when we can't evolve into our Muka bodies, or we are still needing to raise our vibrations a little bit, we will get support and assistance. Hello, has anyone heard about med beds? They're not on this earth, my friends. Okay? So let's get real with the stuff that we've all been told is bullshit that's coming here on this planet. This is hints and clues of what's going to happen. Okay, so when the biggest shifts happen and those people get taken off planet, they're either going to source, New Earth, or home planets, then you're going to have this period, because the main shift where the majority of people will leave is when Gaia's full soul is released. Okay? And so then when she leaves, you think this planet's dense now? No. She's going to be dense when she's gone. And there's no soul in this. That's when it really gets real. When a lot of my clients go in and experience the old Earth, they feel like they're stone. They think they are embodying a boulder because it's so heavy. Their chests get heavy. It's quite different. Anyway, so when she leaves, we have this window of opportunity. It was around 2 years where the old Earth people could have their experiences and do all that stuff for profound, significant reasons. And so then after they got to graduate and experience that life for 2 years, then they would shift off, and then there'd be nothing on this planet, and then it would be dealt with in the most appropriate way. And so now, because we've eaten into this bonus round time this year, the old Earth experiences are going to be much more shorter. We can't just keep having this here. Our loving families from high dimensional beings are done. They are so patient and they're done with this nonsense, but they're still having to be respectful to our life contracts. They signed up for supporting us and being our guides just as much as we chose them to be our guides, to support them with their life contracts that we are here of service or having other lifetimes to master this planet. So there's a lot. So when we call the old Earth officially is when Gaia's full soul recedes and exits. And then we've heard that's around 9 months-ish, but who knows, because things can speed up very fast. But lots of people say, no one's going to be left behind. That's true. No one's going to be left behind. Everyone will get to have their most appropriate experiences to be able to fulfill their life contracts. And, no one's going to be here at the end. A lot of beings witness the end because they're afraid that other collectives are going to come and try and collect DNA. So, we are 3D minds worrying about the small details of what we think is really going on here. But our teams know so much more than us. And so they have got this down packed. They know exactly what they're doing. We can fully trust them to know exactly what needs to be done, when and why. And so we have been told that when the Canary Island goes, that is when we need to really be set on high alert to be able to be prepared. And so you can't take anything with you. I'm sorry to say, your fashion and your books and your significant things will not be going with you. They are 3D. And so trust, as much as that feels horrible to have to leave things behind, we're too materialistic. It doesn't go with your soul.
Well, and just like you, your book Mastering the Old Earth will be left on coffee tables and stuff everywhere after folks print it out for free. Linked in the show notes, guys. Go check that thing out. Joe Thomas, I can't thank you enough. We are definitely going to have to do this again, my dear.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Sorry for all the triggers. I love you. You are so protected. You're never alone.
Oh, very sweet. Thank you. You guys say that? You're never alone. All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Big shout out and a thank you to Joe Thomas for coming on the show. Fascinating young lady, guys. Her book, of course, her free book, Mastering the Old Earth, will be linked in the show notes. Also, make sure to check out her YouTube channel, Conversation with Heaven on Earth. Some really, really cool stuff going on with her. So take that information how you will. None of it's meant to scare you, right? We're just talking about the ideas. And if anything else to gain from this, you're just going to kind of evaporate, which is going to be cool. So that'll be a lot of fun. Whatever's going on, guys, go out into this world, love each other, be, great to everybody that you see. Pick up a piece of litter, get out of the left-hand lane. All of those things are why I say them, is because that's what it does. It helps the vibration of everything. Most of all for you, though. It's kind of a selfish thing to be that considerate of others, and in small ways, but they make massive differences. I mean, I have a theory that if everybody did just those things, right, just didn't litter and picked up litter, was nice to everybody around and wasn't a piece of shit or whatever, got out of the left-hand lane and just kind of respected that law of the road, and then just was good to one another, this whole place would be fucking completely different. And I think all of us could agree on that. So that's why I say that message. So let's pass that around, right? In the show notes, guys, though, go check it out for expandingrealitypodcast.com. That's where links to all socials, Rokfin for premium content, TeePublic for t-shirts. All the socials are linked up there if you want to go check out anything else that we got going on, any nonsense that I spit out into the universe out there on other platforms. But anyway, like I said, guys, go out into this beautiful place, whatever the fuck this is. Don't let this information scare you. I would encourage that not to be the case. I've gotten into deep conversations with her off air about this, and we're good. We're all good. So there's just this nice peace that should come with information like this, no matter what you believe. So let's just, though, focus on today. Don't throw your hands to the wind and just give it all up. Still pick up that piece of litter, because that raises your vibration and ensures your 5D. Keep that in mind. Other than that, guys, go out into this beautiful place, and y'all just be good to one another. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.